What's up, golfers? Thanks for joining us for episode number 189 with Jodie Jenkins of the Zeke Agency. Jodie and I get into everything from golf tournament prep to Canada's largest world long drive competition, which will be happening very soon, as you'll hear in the pod. And of course, this episode's brought to you by our friends over at Full Wedge Golf. And if you're thinking about those golf tournaments and stuff like that, you should definitely think about the Full Wedge Classic. The first of two installments this year will be on July 19th at Nobleton Lakes. I've carried a bag around there for a couple Monday cues. Looks like a great spot. I'm looking forward to playing. I'm looking forward to getting my team in there, and you should too. Registration will be open on May the 27th to yourself and the rest of your foursome. Bring 3 people, join in. The prizing is going to be awesome. Our friends at Full Wedge always do it really well. So it'll be fullwedgegolf.com. Go over and follow on Instagram. It's in the bottom of the show notes of each and every episode. Fullwedgegolf.com. July 19th will be the first of 2 Full Wedge Classics this year. Enjoy the episode. We're into it now. If that's okay with you, we can just roll in.
Yeah,
You're a radio guy. You know how all this stuff works. So
I do.
we're with Jodie Jenkins, I guess you're the president of the Zeke Agency.
Sure, that sounds good. That works.
Can we start there, Jody? What is the Zeke Agency? I know I've seen it a couple times. We've had a few of your athletes, Rebecca Lee Bentham. I believe she was part of your team at
Yeah,
one
at
point or
one point
another.
she was. Yeah.
Yeah, and like we were just talking about Ryan Gregnell, good friend of the pod, good friend of ours. So you're playing some golf with him. So can you kind of even give us like an intro as to who you are, kind of what the Zeke Agency is, and then we'll roll from there.
Yeah, so it's so Zeke Agency is like an agency that was born out of COVID, to be honest. I my background is broadcasting. I was 20 plus years in radio, both on air and then transitioned later in my career to management. Did sales as well in there for a while and ran a station in Brighton. And then COVID hit and the radio business was hit pretty hard. And I unfortunately I just lost my job. It was due to job cuts. And a lot of people went through that. It was a tough time, but it also gave me an opportunity to kind of start some new projects, including my passion of golf. So I actually, where it all started was I was working with a long drive athlete named Wes Patterson, and he came up to a charity pro-am that I held with a friend of mine named Tim Howard, called the JT Classic. We started that in 2017, and so Wes came up. I just kind of met him through some people and that I know, and I invited him to come and compete in their event, and he came up, and we started chatting, and we was able to connect him with some sponsorship opportunities and some networking stuff. And he's like, "Man, you should just be my agent." And I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." So I kind of started looking into what that would take, and how would you start an agency? What are the requirements? What would I be responsible for? And long story short, I took the time, started up a business, started looking into it, and started my own agency where I kind of connected players with brands. If you look at Zeke Agency, it talks about the website, it talks about connecting players with brands and connecting brands with players. And so I had quite a great crew of great people. I was working with Rebecca Lee Bentham, as you mentioned. We had a young Swedish lady, Michaela Finn, who's on the Epson tour. We had Wes Patterson, Ryan Snoffer, who was on the Mackenzie tour, Steve LeBrun, who was on the Corn Ferry tour. I was working with Blair Bursey for a bit. I was even at one point, I don't know if Matt Hill was with us or not. I think Matt Hill was working with us for a bit, another Canadian golfer who's been grinding away out there. But yeah, so I was working with these athletes, and I'm sure you know from talking to professional golfers, it's a grind out there. I mean, there's tens of thousands of golfers trying to do exactly what the pro golfer that there's tens of thousands trying to do exactly what they're doing, if not more, to be honest. Um, and it is a grind. And so some of them like it just they gave it a couple years and it just wasn't they didn't see the return on what they were doing, right? So
Right.
they had a lot of times these golfers have to make a choice. You either have like mega deep pockets that allow you to pursue this, or you have mega wealthy acquaintances that allow you to pursue this, or you're footing it, you're doing it on your own dime, and you can spend a lot of money and not see a lot of return. But again, it's that adrenaline rush of chasing the dream, right? Like one of the coolest things that I ever experienced, and it was with Rebecca, was she qualified and played in the women's US Open. That was very, very cool to see. Um, like she had my logo, the Zeke Agency logo on her clothing. She was with Levelwear at the time. I think it was at the Olympic Club. I'm not 100% sure, but it was in
It
San
was.
Francisco, I believe.
Yeah, it was at the
And
Olympic Club.
to
Yeah.
see that logo on television, like that was I got there was a one clip. Like she had I'm sure she had lots of good shots, but there was one that actually made it on television. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's the coolest thing ever. But so I was pretty proud of her for that. I was proud of everyone that I worked with, and some of them are still toiling away, and some of them have made career changes, and we still keep in touch as best we can. Obviously, I talked to Wes Patterson nonstop. We work together on a lot of things, including the big event that obviously we're going to talk about. But yeah, so then I transitioned into events. So I work with some athletes kind of like on a case by case basis now. If someone comes to me and says, "Hey, you think you could help me out with this?" I'm more than willing to look at it, but I don't have any like contracted clients right now. I've just been too busy with my actual golf events. Endless Summer being the flagship, and that takes up the lion's share of my time at this point. So
Yeah, so going back to Rebecca, we were chatting, I think, just after that US Open. I think it might have been like the week after that. And it was at the Olympic Club, and I bet you I know the shot that you're referring to because she ripped a wedge up a hill to like a foot.
yeah,
And
that's the one. Yeah, yeah.
it was like an elevated green. I don't know what hole it was on now. We'd have to go back and see. That was like years ago. That was a couple of years ago, probably on the pod. And and it was just like such a great shot. She hit it to like a foot or something like that. And you can see her like kind of like trying to like look up the hill to try to see how close it was. So that was really cool. And Rebecca's got some game. Like what a player. What a player, right? So um if anybody's kind of curious about this, I'll link the website in the show notes below, so you can go over and kind of check it out. But how is it like Jody? Before we move into the event, like how would you help out a player? So if a player like, um, I'm thinking of like my good buddy Cam Kelly just got in. We've been chatting all day because he's playing the Canadian Open next week, and it's kind of a surreal moment. So I'm trying not to pester him too much, but it's like we've been chatting a couple times he's been on the pod a couple times. We got one coming up next week, and it's kind of just a cool experience. And we were kind of talking back and forth about a couple of his things that he's got set up for the event and whatnot. So if you're interested, we'll drop that pod probably next week. So go check it out. It'll be live from Coketown Woods, which is another great spot. But how would you set a player up? Would you just I guess kind of like ask what they're like looking for? Would it be like apparel type of thing? Would it be like financial support? How do you take on that role for them?
Yeah, there's numerous ways, but yeah, typically what happens in my experience anyway is most of the golfers that I was working with reached out to me. In fact, I still have players that reach out to me. Typically now I just kind of kindly say I'm not taking anyone on. I mean, if there's something I can help you out directly, then sure, let me know what it is and I'll see what I can do. But when I was working specifically with our stable of players, um, yeah, I was evaluating like what are they looking to do? What are they looking to accomplish? Do you have a sense of what you need to make this season a success in terms of financial support? And then I would leverage the network and the brands that I know because again, it was kind of like the other key part to me starting this agency was that I had 20 plus years of contacts in the golf world from doing a radio program for 20 plus years across Canada on multiple stations. And so I had kind of amassed this Rolodex of individuals that I had gotten to know and had them as guests on a show, but never leveraged them for anything else. And it was kind of cool to be able to say, hey, look, go to, I can remember, I don't think he's there now, but Vidi Gomes was a gentleman I met through Nike years ago. And then he ended up at Levelwear. Well, when Rebecca, we were looking for some apparel stuff, we went to Levelwear and just those connections that kind of come out. And I mean, I've known the guys at Dormy Workshop for since they started. So I think they're going their 10 years anniversary, right? So I remember from day one knowing those guys, Jeff and Todd and the
Yep.
crew, and to watch their journey has been unbelievable. So yeah, so I would leverage brands to kind of like sponsorship deals, anything literally that would allow these players to get some financial support. But at the same time, I had players that I'd assist with like travel stuff, making sure that their equipment, arrives on time. Planning out rounds at different places. Like some of the, again, it wasn't as involved as say like someone that's on like the PGA or the LPGA, but their day-to-day business dealings and kind of getting them in that mode of being a part of that. And like you mentioned, you're a Cam there that's in the Canadian Open. Chris Whiter was a gentleman that I forgot to mention, a great player that I worked with as well. And the coolest thing there too was seeing him play in his first PGA Tour event.
Mhm.
And we had connected him with a brand called Stony Wilds. So some guys doing some great clothes there for up north. And it was kind of cool because that was the first time their gear had ever been worn on the PGA Tour. And so just little things like that like, I'm proud of being able to do that. Again, I don't do that to this level at all because I'm so event focused now, but it's really cool. And I'm not saying it won't happen more or I won't do it again. It's just at this point, it's not my focus. So.
Well, to an extent, that's something that we've been lucky enough to be able to do with a lot of players. Um, we have a lot of NCAA athletes on and professional golfers too. And like you said, it is an absolute grind, right? So if we can connect them with like our friends at Full Wedge, that's who's kind of looking after us with the pod. Andrew's, only a couple minutes away, so it's kind of a match made in heaven for us, and they've got good stuff. So we're always kind of connecting athletes and whatnot, or helping like link tournaments and that kind of stuff with Andrew and because they're kind of growing so much, and it's just sort of I don't know, it's kind of cool to be able to do that. It is such a great experience when you can help somebody out, right? Like this pod is kind of all about that. We've been doing it 189 weeks in a row now. So it's something
Nice.
that if we can do it, it's great if we can take a moment to kind of connect two people, a brand or a player or whatever that is, or two brands together to like collab on something, which is something we're working on right now as well too. It's really cool. And the guys at Dormy Workshop are awesome. Jeff and Todd they were episode number 50 for us, and like their story is so cool. They're such nice guys, man. Like,
Yeah, those guys are yeah, I can remember and I was joking around with them about this not that long ago is like early on, I remember saying, "Hey guys, like how much would it take for me to invest in your company? Because I believe so much in this." Like,
right.
and they're like, "Ah, we're just not like." But this was early on, right? Like, I don't even think they were thinking about that type of thing. And so it's just been pretty cool to yeah, to see them blow up. I have about I'm looking over at like several hundred head covers and cash covers right now behind me for my event. So
That's
it's
awesome, man. Those
it's funny, you have a problem with head covers when you potentially have more money tied up in head covers than in equipment in your bag, and I'm
Oh
very
yeah.
close to that.
Yeah, I've got yeah, I'm thinking like I don't carry a 5 or 7 wood anymore, but my three head covers are all very, very custom, nice pieces from different places and stuff. All Canadian companies that we love to support that have been on the podcast and
Yeah,
stuff too, which is cool.
yeah.
But Jeff and Todd, man, their story is pretty awesome. It was really cool. A friend of mine's from Tatamagouche, was just this little north of Halifax there, and he was down there and he went into the new like right when they got the renovation finished, or they were just about done there. They're just down on, I can't remember what street it's called. It might be like Front Street or First Street or whatever it is, right down on the right down off the boardwalk there. And so his name's Kirk. He went in and kind of introduced himself, said that we're friends of his and they remembered being on the pod. And I think they were like out for lunch at the time, and they said, "Why don't you sit tight? We'll be back in a little bit." And they set him up with a head cover and stuff. So he had a great experience with those guys.
Nice.
Just the best. And they do so much good work. Like they're working with Jack and Barbara at the Play Yellow event and stuff like that. Like it's just they're everywhere, man. That would have been
Yeah.
like investing in Bitcoin. Like if you got in with those guys early, like that would have been like
Yeah.
investing in Bitcoin or something like that. Those guys are I don't know, they're taking Dormy to the moon for sure. But
Yeah.
if we can
No, it's
transfer,
great guys.
segue over all those head covers that you have for all these events and have gotten at all these events. Can we talk about a few of the events that are kind of on your plate? Ultimately, the Endless Summer event.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, for sure.
So, are we? You said you got multiple running. How many are you doing a year right now, Jody?
So yeah, right now, sorry, we're just doing the one and the long drive championship. That's like the flagship one that I run. We've run other minor, and I shouldn't say minor, um,
No golf
pro-am
tournaments
events,
matter.
yeah,
Yeah,
pro-am
yeah.
events with some, again, I don't want to say minor league players because we've had some big names that have come out and participated when we were using like tour pros, like, so we had like, we had like the Mackenzie Tour pros, we had, Epson Tour pros, we had Great Lakes Tour pros, we had Toronto Players Tour pros, we had PGA, because I was friends with John Mills. I went to high school with John Mills, who of course played on the PGA Tour. I've been fortunate through my broadcasting career to get to know guys like David Moreland and Ian Leggett. So I mean, they've played in that event back in the day. But
David
in
Moreland, that's a
20,
name I haven't heard in a while, Jody. That's
no,
a
he's classic. He's
yeah,
classic.
wow.
He's come and played in our event, I think twice. Before it was the long drive version, when it was called the JT Classic. But yeah, I was fortunate to kind of connect with a lot of great players, and again, see a bunch of them that have played on the PGA Tour. Guys like Drew Nesbitt and Matt Hill. Like, just it's been very cool to see some of these things that have happened. Like, I've gotten to know Taylor Pendrith a little bit, not like best buddies, but I mean, it was cool when he won there a couple of weeks ago. I was able to text him, congratulate him, and he writes you back, right? Like, the guy's a class act. Like, it's
Yeah.
just to see these guys, come from, where they started. Like, again, I remember being at, we're totally off topic here, but I remember being at Coppenwood years ago. This would have been, I'm guessing, probably '09 to 10. I was there covering the Team Canada Junior golf squad. They used to have media events with the teams. And so I was interviewing guys like Alvin Choi, Nick Taylor, have footage of this, right? Before these guys had even tasted, big time, or, maybe had a little bit of an experience with it, but we're just starting out, right? And so to see a guy like Nick Taylor do what he did last year, and the success he's seen, it's pretty darn cool. So I say all that because our main event now, or the main event I run, the Endless Summer Long Drive Championship, has kind of grown in the last 3 years to the point where it's literally a national championship. I'm very proud of it, and I'm excited to see the growth in terms of it not just being a local event to the Quinte region, that it's an event that people from around the country um, should be looking at coming and checking out as we move forward. I mean, we have two pro-ams. We have just under 60 teams competing. Every team is paired up with a long drive athlete. So we've got a full day of scramble happening. Long drivers are qualifying on course for the finals. We've got qualifying the day before. This is all on Father's Day weekend, but to have the best of the best right here in Belleville doesn't happen that often. And the plan is like to continue to move this thing around and grow it as a national championship in long drive. So
So you said on the course, how does that format work, Jody? Like, how would that be different than the typical like PLDA or WLD tournament that you might see like at
yeah,
a YouTube
so
if you turn
well,
in?
yeah, this it's a little different in the sense that, like, our event takes place on an actual golf course. So I think, one of the big things for me, again, I've been around long drive just for about 4 years now, so I'm relatively new to it. But one thing I do know is that the average golfer can relate to seeing someone hit a ball on an actual golf hole. Because, as like if you hit your drive to, the 150 marker on hole X all the time, and you see some guy or girl come up and they hit it inside the 100, or whatever, um, you're just like, holy smokes, like, that's nuts. Like, I
Yeah.
usually only hit it to right there, right? So it's relatable. Whereas the standard long drive grid, which is, kind of like on a football field size thing, um, it's not as, I don't think it connects with the audience as much in terms of growing the game. I'm not saying taking anything away from it, because that's what they've always done, but you will see, and you have started to see, a more of a move to, these events taking place on actual golf holes and golf courses. So we have two opportunities for qualification at our events. We have a double elimination qualifier that happens on Friday, and then those that don't qualify that route during the scramble on the Saturday, there's four of the par fives. You hit, the long drivers hit 4 extra tee shots, and then those shots are measured and tabulated, and then kind of get assigned points. And that's kind of like, at the end of the day, We take a bunch from the morning wave, we take a bunch from the afternoon wave, and that's how we come up with our final grouping for the men and women
That's
that
really
night
cool.
under the lights.
So if I'm there playing in the Pro-Am, I could see Ryan or, Kelly or whoever it is
Yes,
qualify right during my event with them. That's so
correct,
cool. I love that.
correct.
I think they
Yeah.
kind of had like,
Some I was gonna say some players don't like that because some of them like it's and I mean I can appreciate it. Some of them aren't don't excel at golf, right? So I mean
right,
there's a lot of like a guy like Justin James as example. That's like a phenomenal golf swing. And that guy, I remember watching him, at the first event this year in Huntington Beach, California. And the guy's he just looks so natural on an actual golf hole. Same thing with their format at that MB Invitational. The first event they had was at a golf course, and the guy's just ripping tight draws like over this tree line, whatever, into the fairway, right? Like pushing it like 417, whatever. And I mean, those guys, a guy like that thrives on a golf course. Whereas there's some players that they would prefer to just be, ripping drives on a grid, more
right.
of an open whatever. And I get that. Um, but yeah, so some players love it, some players don't love it. But that's why we added the other opportunity to qualify the night before as well. Because again, it was more of like, these guys and girls, they sacrifice a lot to get to your event. And to think that, you're putting good money towards an event for a very big purse. And to think that you might only hit 12 golf balls and have to go, right? Like, it's not really, I didn't want to leave that kind of taste in their mouth. And so we added the double elimination qualifier. That was actually an idea that, I mean, it's not an original idea by any stretch, but Jason Zubak, who works on this event with me, um, that was his idea to kind of come up with that format and add that in. And so it's really cool. But yeah, the idea that like pro-am competitors can play and watch and be a part of the qualifying, and then all of a sudden you have a horse in the race, and now you're getting connected to that player, and then you're rooting for them in the finals. It's just that's how you grow the game. In reality, that's how it grows. it's
Well,
um it's getting that connection.
I love that because that's like a good friend of mine, Ziggy. I've talked to him a few times on the pod. I caddy for him whenever he comes up to Osprey Valley. So his name's Zahid Ali Nathu. So he plays on PGA Tour Canada or PGA Tour Americas now. So that's one of the things that he was saying. Is like, the pro-ams have like a stigma, like such a negative thing. They can, say if you're playing on the PGA Tour, it can be a little ho-hum or whatever it is, right? But like he said, he loves it. It's such an opportunity to connect with new people, new potential sponsors, and that type of thing, and even just make new friends, right? So he's been able to do something like where he now is just hooked up with like almost like a billet, like in hockey, that type of thing. So when he comes up, he's got a place to stay. They, help feed him and stuff like that because it is a grind, right? So it's such a grind for a lot of players and stuff like that. And you just become kind of friends with them. I met them. They came and walked around the course. It's so cool, right? So
Yeah,
that's kind of a neat opportunity too for the players because like long drive, I've had that conversation with, Ryan, Monica Living and stuff. It's expensive. It's expensive to play just like it is to play pro golf. And it's just not easy, right? It's not easy for them to kind of fund that. So any other option or any type of like friendships that you can build that might lead to something is great. And even just having a horse in the race too is kind of cool, right? So if you get out there and you like Ryan and his group and he's qualified, you got somebody to watch for the rest of the weekend, right? Which is really neat. So yeah. I did want to ask you though, so when the players come in, can you kind of talk about like how you might greet them or who you might have in the field and how you kind of expect, the weekend to go?
yeah. So it's a 2-day event at Trillium Wood Golf Club in Belleville. So I would definitely encourage everyone to take a long, hard look at coming down and being a part of it. There are opportunities that we can chat about, but yeah. So I mean, we have on Friday afternoon we have men's qualifying. So we're going to welcome all the long drivers. Actually, Thursday night we're having a kind of like a private sponsor slash VIP hitters event happening at Shorelines Casino. That's
Okay.
kind of just to welcome the hitters and whatever. So that'll be happening on Thursday night for those that come in early. Obviously, we don't expect everyone to come in, um, you know, multiple days early. It's up to them in terms of like when they want to arrive. But that will be there for them. And then Friday, based on my experiences in the past, a lot of them are going to be at the range getting ready and loosened up and start to both men and the women. We got the qualifying on Friday afternoon. We have a welcome reception that also happens later that evening with the pro-am participants and the hitters. We're going to have the ladies are going to be doing the qualifying later in the day. Jason Zubak is going to welcome some guests to the first tee, and they're going to be doing a little bit of a long drive demonstration for people to enjoy on the grandstands, because we've got two big sets of bleachers and hospitality and everything, kind of like a amphitheater style built around
Okay.
number one tee. I'm sure you're familiar with it at Trillium. And then we've got live music on Friday night with a good friend of the event. Victor Cooper has his band is going to be there. They start performing at 9:30. So it's kind of like it's like my event is, I'm all about entertainment and providing some excitement for people. It's not just about the golf. I mean, golf obviously is the main part of it, but I want people to have an experience. Like we get a lot of we get a lot of above average golfers. We have golfers of all levels, but we get a lot of above average golfers to this event for two reasons. One is the format itself on Saturday when we have the pro-am is it's a modified scramble. So yeah, you pick the best drive, but from there everyone plays their own ball.
Okay.
So we do get more of a seasoned golfer, because a lot of times really good golfers, in my opinion and my experience, is they get a little tired of regular scrambles because it's hitting the same like over and over. The guys like to play their own ball, girls like to play their own ball, so it's like this kind of gives them the ability to do that and still feel like they're golfing and still have some fun. But so we attract a lot of above average golfers, I would say. But having said that, we have golfers of all levels playing in the event because it's such a fun event. But my event, what I was going to say is that it's like people are there for the experience. It's not about, you go to some scrambles and you want to know automatically, like, what's the prizes, what are we playing for. Never get that. Like, we have prizes. Nobody ever asks that, because it's such an experience. It's like you're at it is, you're at a professional golf event, and you're getting that experience of coming in and being welcomed. You're getting player gifting, you're having a welcome reception, you're having your meals, you're hobnobbing with the pros and all this stuff, right? So it's like the golf is kind of like playing in the scramble is just part of this whole experience for 2 days of being at a professional event and just enjoying it. Because we treat it that way. Like we put up fencing all around the entrance, like it's called VIP fencing. We try to make it feel like it's something special, right? Like
Right.
it's not just a regular scramble you're walking into, and here's your bottle of water and your bag of chips kind of thing. Not to take anything away from scrambles, but it's just not, that's not what we're doing. And so it's just such a cool feel. And then on the Saturday, like I said, we have two pro-ams. We got our lunch and dinner for everybody, and then Saturday night is when things really get lit up, because literally, because Sunbelt lights up the entire first fairway, and we'll start the hitting probably around 7:30, 8 o'clock, and then we go right into the dark, and we'll crown a champion for the men and the ladies, and you've never seen anything until you've seen long drive under the lights. And we've got big TV screen monitors, and TrackMan's going to be there. You'll be able to watch everything on big screens, and it's quite an event. And of course, this is all like World Long Drive is partnered with us, and obviously this is a major tour stop. So these guys and girls, they're playing for elevated rankings. They got an increased purse, and it's it's a great event. We couldn't do it without like the support of the community. Like we have so many community supporters and partners. Like the whole event is presented by Divots Landscape Supply, and I could go through a list of partners that make this event a reality. But it's just a really cool thing. Like once we have like a 90% return rate in our players and in our sponsors, which I think is a testament to what we've been able to do over the last 8 years. And I'm not bragging, but I mean, every January I can send out an email saying, what teams are committing for this year's event. And I'd have 30-35 teams instantly after one email. Like
Love that.
that's the way it is. And like, I know but that's been 8 years of work at that. When we started our first year, I think we had 22 teams. Like I see charity, because I've been around this so much that I see charity tournaments. I'm sure you do too, like that struggle to get enough teams to participate, right? And the
Yeah.
fact that we've been able to grow it where, like I said, like I'm looking at it this year, and at one point I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. We have 55. I have 55 foursomes playing in this event right now. And then I'm kind of like stepping back and going, as cool as that looks, it's like a lot of extra work. I'd rather almost, now it's like, do you want to pull back and have 25 foursomes, but make it more of a premium exclusive event, which, is kind of like the coolest thing that's kind of where my mind goes with this stuff.
So are you guys sold out now?
Yeah, we were sold out weeks ago.
All right. So if
Yeah.
anybody's looking to get
Can't
involved in
play in it.
this, yeah, you
Can't
can't
play
play
in
in
it.
it, but you can
No.
come out and watch. How can people come out and watch the event?
So yeah, so we do have an all access pass, we call it. It's 35 bucks. You can go to endlesssummergolf.ca and pick those up. I will say they're moving briskly. They've definitely picked up in the last 2 weeks. As with anything, people seem to wait till the last 2 weeks to do stuff around most areas and commit to things. So based on last year's evidence, most people buy their tickets in the last 2 weeks. So we've definitely seen an uptick. We're 3 weeks away. So $35, and that gets you access to all the qualifying and long drive events. So, if somebody was, well, what does my ticket get me? Well, if you have your $35 ticket, you're going to show up, you're going to get a wristband, and you're going to be able to watch the men's and women's qualifying on Friday. It doesn't get you into the welcome reception, but you can come and watch the qualifying. And then you can also you can stay for the music. We'll have a cash bar, and if people want to buy food or whatever. And then on Saturday, you're more than welcome to come and follow. If you want to follow hitters while they're playing in their pro-am, more than welcome to do that. And then obviously it gets you access to the grandstand for the finals on Saturday night under the lights. And again, I'm sure we'll have the same thing this year. We had a ton of walk-ups last year. A lot of people were like, what's this all about? We've heard about it, and they show up, and that's fine. We'll be able to accommodate them. But my best suggestion is $35, buy a ticket, and endlesssummergolf.ca. It's worth the drive. I'm proud because I've been trying to grow this in terms of like getting attention around just outside of Quinty. So I mean, we have people coming from Burlington, the Toronto area. We have people coming from Ottawa driving down to watch it. And the cool thing is for our region is they're coming down, they're staying a night, maybe they're playing somewhere because they're not in the pro-am, but maybe they're playing somewhere on the Friday, going to come out to the music on Friday night, watch a little bit of qualifying, stick around Saturday, watch some of it, so it's for 35 bucks and 2 days of entertainment. I mean, I don't know, you can't do much for 35
Love
bucks these
that.
days.
They still got Little
So
Texas in the city there.
yeah,
Is Little
they do.
Texas still there?
Yes, they do. So
I'm
yes, you can go
I'm
to
not
Little
rec-
Texas.
I'm not recommending Little Texas to anybody, but maybe it's for some. Maybe it's for some. I've been there
Yeah,
before. Don't know if I'll be back, but it's for some, that's for sure.
that's
But
classic.
oh man, it's I think anybody who talks about a night in Belleville, it's just like yeah, Little Texas seems to come up, but Belleville's a cool spot. So anybody listening to the pod who might not know, it's kind of wedged like right between Toronto and Kingston, really. It's kind of like almost right in the
Yeah,
middle.
yeah, I mean, we're 40 minutes from Kingston, we're an hour 45 from Toronto, we're
Yeah.
2 hours into touch from Ottawa. I mean, we're an hour and 15 from Peterborough. I mean, it's like literally like it's worth the drive to see. And again, I'll use, people know who Kyle Berkshire is for the most part. Number one ranked male long driver. I mean, you don't know how many guys, like Kyle was here last year, and I just remember seeing some of the footage come out after, and I had guys come up to me like, Kyle Berkshire was at Trillium. I'm like, yeah. Come on, he was not. I'm like, yes, he was. And he's coming back, right? So he's committed. Phyllis Meddy, who's number one in the world for women, she's coming back. And then we have a great Canadian contingent, including Ryan Gregnall, Kelly Rudney, Cody Billinghurst, Wes Campo, Justin Balaga, Brendan Wise, who else? TJ Baker. I hope I'm not forgetting anyone on the Canadian. Oh, Savannah Meyer Clement, she's on the ladies' side. But we have the best. They have the best hitters in the world
Oh yeah,
coming to Belleville.
she's from like Montreal or something, right?
Yeah, yeah. So we
She's
have
such a
the
nice golf swing, man. She has such a
yeah,
nice
yeah,
golf swing.
yeah. So we have the best hitters in the world coming, and the other thing that's kind of cool too is we're going to really showcase the women because this is the first time. Jason Zubak and I were talking about this. This is the first time we believe that the top women in the world have ever competed in Canada in a long drive competition to this level.
Yeah, we
Like,
got Kelly there. Kelly's a winner
yep,
now. Monica
yep.
Living, is
So
she coming up?
Monica, yeah, the
Yep.
women's field is stacked.
That's a
Like,
stacked field.
with
That'll
the
be a
exception of, we have the top 12 in the world, with the exception of Sandra Karlborg and she's in. I think is she Swedish? I think she's from Sweden, but she just wasn't able to make it. But we have players
Ooh,
coming from Japan, the UK, Australia. So I think I'm not sure if there's one coming from South Africa or not. United States, Canada, obviously, like just all in New Zealand, like just all over the world. And
dang.
it's really cool to see that. And again, I can't stress this enough. I'm biased, but for $35, if you're a golf fan, like you're going to be blown away. Like even if you just come for Saturday night, you're going to be blown away. So
So at this point here, again, I'm gonna put this one in the show notes as well. EndlessSummerGolf.ca.
yes, yeah,
$35. Grab a couple tickets. Take a
yeah,
friend.
yes,
It's a good drive too. Like if you're coming from Toronto, like it's an easy drive straight down the
yeah, yeah.
401. You hop off the 401. I don't know which road it is, but you pretty much go up one or two roads right up to like Trillium
Highway
area.
37, just
There
zip
you
off
go.
37.
Yeah, it's easy to get up there. Black Bear's there as well. You can go
Yeah,
play that on one of the days if you like.
that's right.
It's right next door. So, um, Jody, this sounds like a great event. Hopefully, I'm going to be there too. Hopefully, I can come out and check it out. I got a lot of friends who are playing the event. Cody Billinghurst, we got to have on the pod. We chatted with him a little bit. So, yeah, this sounds like a really really cool event, and it's just a couple weeks away. So, it's June 14th and 15th. Is that correct?
Yeah, June 14, 15. Yep.
Okay. And then again, yeah, so you can go down in the show notes, you can grab just click the link, stop the car, whatever it is, click the link, grab a couple tickets. Yeah, this sounds like a great time. Sounds like a lot of fun. We're big fans of Long Drive here because some of our best episodes, some of our not best, but they're all great. But some of our favorite episodes, like one of my favorite episodes was talking with Monica Living. We ended up having like the most random conversations about different stuff for like an hour and a half, and she's really cool and it's just like really neat to see how different people get into the sport. Ryan's been on a few times with us, which is awesome. So it's just Kelly's coming up pretty soon. So it's just a really cool sport, growing sport. Appreciate you supporting it because we're doing the same. We're trying to do our best with it, but it's nice to have kind of a premier event so close to us. So looking forward to coming to check it out myself too, Jody. Think it'll be a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
no, it's been great to chat with you. And again, endlesssummergolf.ca would love to see you out there. And as you said, it's an easy drive from so many parts of Ontario. I mean, we have even I didn't mention this, but we've got one team flying in from Alberta. They heard about it and they wanted to come play. So they're flying in and checking it out. So I mean, that's kind of like it tells me that we're on the right path in terms of
Oh,
growing it
absolutely.
nationally. So
So if there is a wait list pretty much right now, or if you're full, is there a wait list to join it to try to get involved in it
no,
next year?
no, we used to do wait lists, and I probably could if I wanted to, but the reality is that we are full. So
So you
it's just
post whatever the day is, you post it up on social media or something like that, and you got to call in or you got to kind of get your team entered at that time.
yeah, we do yeah. So we do a lot of like I mean, I'm pushing this out here in like January, February, giving people the dates and we have like an early bird opportunity for people to lock their team in. And it's cool. And when I say like that we're full, like that's teams registered paid up. Like I mean in the golf world, like it used to be, I don't know if you have any, I'm sure you play in lots of scrambles. I can remember, again, I'm older than you, but I can remember going to events where you would pay when you get there. And it's
Right.
like, like imagine and I mean, and I don't know if that still happens, but imagine like to think that like there's no way I could comfortably do that because what like there's no guarantees. Like you could
Yeah.
literally have 15 teams not yeah, we wanted to be there, but so to
Yeah.
have 55 teams that have registered and paid months before the event, I think is a testament to how excited these guys and girls get for it. Like it is something to see, and I'm very proud of what we've been able to do, and we have such an amazing team, and it's a lot of fun. This year, I'm actually going to play in it. So I've been doing this for 8 years. I've only played in it 3 times, just because, as you can imagine, it's a crazy busy
Oh
day.
yeah.
And I have my name on the trophy once. We do. I like trophies. I'm not, I mean, I like prizes, but I'm bigger on trophies. Because then it's like you can't take that away from us
I
when your
love
name's
that,
on a
man. I
trophy.
love
You know
that.
what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
we've got the trophy for the teams and we've got a trophy for the winners, but for the winner. But yeah, I have my name on the trophy. We played. I remember. So again, we played. This is a great story. 2 years ago, when we were kind of like not at the peak of COVID, but borders were still closed to a certain degree. The Vax Pass stuff was all going on. We had a lot of our long drivers from the States couldn't get across the border. In fact, some of them would come up and they got turned back. So we were really scrambling for hitters. So I'd have a lot of good friends at Cataraqui and Kingston I called down and I said, look, who are the longest hitters at Cat? Because at this point, I need some guys that can bomb it because we have spots we need to fill in the pro division. So we got this young guy named Jamal Moussaoui. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
No.
Great, he's an unbelievable golfer, and he pounds the ball. And so he actually, because he can keep it in play, right? He's not as long as all these guys, but because he could keep it in play during the qualifying holes, he actually made it to the final 8, where he was competing against these top elite hitters, right? And
Love
he
that.
was it was funny. He was -6 on his own ball. He shot 6 under that day, like on his own ball, just playing golf.
Yeah.
That was the year we won. But he was so, I could tell he was a little bit nervous. Because like for him, he would have to step on it, get a little bit of roll, but he could get it out there like 350, 360, like just that's
Yep.
everything he's got, right? Whereas like, Ryan Gregnall today, the first tee at Trillium we played there today, I think his first one he ripped, it was downwind, but big deal. It was 410, right? Like just, and it was a casual swing. It's just a different level,
Uh,
right? But watching Jamal from Cataraqui, that was so cool to see a guy who's actually like a semi-pro golfer, amateur and excels at amateur golf, and to see him competing, and he was like, you could see the nerves on him because it's a different animal. Like you
oh, it
think
definitely is, man.
stepping up there for 2 minutes and trying to hit 6 balls, and it's like you could tell it's I've seen, and Brian talks about it. You see the guy's hands shaking trying to put the ball on the tee, right? Like it's different. So that was the year Cody won. Cody won the first endless summer. And then
Nice.
the second year he finished second. Last year, our defending champion is Naoto Masumi from Japan.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so he's coming back, and he's bringing a friend actually, Taiga Tazawa, who
Yeah.
just committed to the field. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's just great.
we've
It's
seen
crazy.
Taiga became a pretty I don't know, he kind of became like a I don't know, he went a little viral there a couple of
Oh
years
yeah,
ago
that
at one of the
video.
WLD
Yes,
events, right? So
yes,
but one of our favorite quotes, or one of my favorite quotes on the pod too, is we were chatting with Ryan at the Toronto golf show, Toronto
yeah,
golf and travel show, and like Bryce said, like Ryan Gregnall's an absolute fridge, and he is, man. So it's like
oh yeah.
it's pure entertainment. It's like they're really, in a lot of cases, like you said, Justin James, Ryan's a great golfer too. There's a lot of really good golfers, really talented golfers, but just talented athletes, and it's really cool to kind of I don't know, have it in our space here and be able to check it out. We've got about pretty much 3 or 4 of our listeners right now are kind of from this area or within a few hours. So I would definitely encourage you to go check it out.
Well,
And then
they better get on the site tonight and buy those tickets. I want to see those names pop up in my email. So
love it, love it. Let's do what we can. Endlesssummergolf.ca, correct?
yes, correct. Yeah.
Again, and it's down in the show notes below, so you can just go down and click it. Jody, this was great, man. I really appreciate it. Really love the event. Really hoping I can make it out. I'm kind of going through. I got Canadian Open media next week. We got a couple things coming up with PGA Tour Americas that we're doing, which is really cool. But I don't think we have anything locked up that weekend. So hopefully we can get down there and check it out. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
No excuses. Yeah, it's on video now. You're committed. Like I
Uh,
can't
I'm committed.
let you not.
I'll be there. I love Belleville too. I'll be
There
there.
you go.
I remember most of the times I've been there. So it's
Well, if Little Texas was a stop of yours, then I would believe that. Yes.
yeah, it definitely would I don't know, make things a little blurry, but I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a good time. Trillium's a really great golf course. Black Bear's right next door.
Yep.
Some of the best in Ontario. Go check it out. I know it's a TPT spot or stop a lot of times
Yep.
too. So a lot of our friends, a lot of the pro golfers, we've had it on the pod there. Etienne Papineau won there last year, episode number 150. So it's you guys have heard Trillium before. I know he kind of tore it up there. So definitely go check it out again. It's down in the show notes below. Jody, this was great, man. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Look forward to seeing you.
He's out in my ball in the course where I tee up. I lose the ball and I re-up. I miss a fairway, I probably end up in the ocean or maybe the beach. And I'm on a par 5 and I'm finna go reach it. Second was blind, I ain't see it. Feel like it might be an albatross, worst case scenario.